All right. It's been 24 hours now since the Level 1 2021 November exam results have been released. So you've had time to look at them, absorb them, think about them, reflect on them, get angry, get happy, decide on what you're doing, decide on what you're not doing. So let's talk about pathways here. But first, let's look at the pass rate, 27%. It's the third one now. If this were the market, I would say this is a trend. This is no longer an event. It looks like this is a trend and looks like we found new levels. Resistance at 30%, support at 20%, and we're gonna trade in this channel for a while. When we want to describe some output or some outcome, we can look at certain input variables, and they're categorized into two broad categories: exogenous variables and endogenous. Endogenous means it's a characteristic of the test itself. Exogenous means it's a characteristic of the test taker or of the environment. And this has been the argument put forth by CFAI, that there is some characteristic that is causing those that have been deferred to score lower. I don't think it has anything to do with the time. I think it has to do more with what is going on in a region that does cancel a test center. So that if you are in a region where your test center was canceled, you are probably living under greater COVID restrictions than in another region. And if that's the case, then there is a psychological burden there, and there's probably less quiet time that you have because everybody's at home. So where you normally would have some quiet time because some people are gone, you no longer have that time. And that much time in one location with the same people for an extended period of time adds a level of psychological pressure as well. So the extra time studying leading to lower performance, I think time is a spurious correlation. I think that if you're in a region where a test center got canceled, you were probably living under more demanding COVID restrictions, and those COVID restrictions then had some kind of psychological effect. Okay. While I can accept that there are exogenous variables at play, I'm having a very difficult time accepting that there are no endogenous variables at play, meaning the characteristics of the test itself. I mean, we have gone from 240 questions down to 180 questions without reducing the size of the content. Is there something going on there? Is there something particular to the types of questions being asked, the number of questions being asked, that is leading to this kind of lower performance? Is it a case that, typically if you have 240 questions and you go to 180 questions, you elevate your questions to higher themes and bigger themes, and you focus more on those bigger themes? Could it be that they've gone from 240 to 180, but moved the questions down to a deeper level of detail? Well, now you're spreading, when you spread that apart, instead of moving up to a higher level of detail, you're moving down to even more detail with fewer questions. The interaction of those two movements can create quite a change in the outcome. So, okay, you want to tell me that there is some exogenous variables at play? I can see that. I can make the argument, okay. But if you say there are no endogenous variables at play, I'm having a hard time with that one. Anyways, it is what it is right now, so we just have to say, could this be the new normal? And I don't think it really matters asking if it's the new normal. The only time I think it would matter is if we disagree, if we disagree, we say, no, this is not the new normal. This is something that will pass. Then there's, I think, a group out there that says, well, then I will wait until it passes. I'll wait until I see the pass rates increase, and then I'll jump back in. But what if this is the new normal, right? So if you are preparing for an exam in 2023, look, the pandemic is still with us, and the more and more we're hearing about this, it will eventually move to being endemic within regions, but it's just going to be part of the zeitgeist now. It's just going to be part of the tour every year. with the flu season that this thing shows up. So it's not a question of can we get rid of it, it's just, well, we're going to have to learn to live with it. So if we're going to have to learn to live with it, and that endogenous factor is what's creating this outcome, we're just going to have to live with it and have a strategy for saying, well, okay, what do I do now? So I think, if we're looking at mid-20s, 25%, because between 22, 29, 27, call it 25, 1 in 4. There's a 1 in 4 chance that you're going to pass. Out of 100 people sitting there, 25 will pass. Which means it's an exam that can be passed, because 25%, somewhere between 25 and 30, it seems right now, are passing it. So you just have to prepare for the exam as if those were the odds. So it's a little bit more work on your part. If you did not pass and you are retaking, depending on where your score was in relation to the minimum passing score, the closer you were to the minimum passing score, the more I would think you would lean towards May. And as you start going down, then you'd lean more towards August. I don't think you need all the way to November. It's a question between May and August at this point. But the further away you were from it, the more you would lean towards August. The closer, the more you would lean towards May. The closer you were to the minimum passing score, I don't know that there is much of a conversation in terms of should you do it again or should you not. You were that close in an exam where 77% didn't make it. So it's not as if, well, you were really far away and it was a 90% pass rate. Well, then, what happened there? But if you were very close with a 77% pass rate, you're in the upper part of the distribution to begin with. So I don't think there's a question that you should be doing it again. Of course you should. The further away you are from it, well then, yeah, you have to ask yourself, if you are asking the question, should I do it again? I don't know that that's the right question to ask. I've been asked, do you think I should do it again? I can't answer that question. Do you want to? And if you say, well, not really, well, then you have your answer. If you don't want to do it, you already have your answer. Somebody convincing you to do something you don't want to do, your heart's not going to be in it. You're not really going to do the heavy lifting. You're not really going to put in the time, because it'll get discouraging. And, well, you didn't really want to do it anyways. You were sort of talked into it, or you were, convinced that, well, I need the credential to get a job. Listen, there are literally tens of thousands of successful people in this industry without a charter. Tens of thousands without a charter. And so the charter is not a necessary condition. Of all the charter holders, there are thousands of them. I wouldn't say tens of thousands, because there are only tens of thousands of charter holders. I think 140, 150,000. But those with charters, they're not all successful. Many of them are in jobs that have had no growth for them. They have gone sideways. They haven't really been able to apply what they've learned, and they haven't grown. So the charter is not a sufficient condition either. So it is neither a necessary nor sufficient condition for success. So if this is something you don't feel like doing, you don't want to do, I'll tell you what, your heart's not in it. You're not going to do very well, because you're just not going to make the sacrifices necessary to get there. And it's not just level 1. It's level 2 and it's level 3, and it's a multi-year process, a pathway that you'll be going through. Then you need 3 years of experience to get the 3 letters. You cannot get those 3 letters unless you pass level 3. So level 1 is just one hurdle. So if you're not into it now, it's not going to get any better. So, you have to make the decision for yourself and understand this is not a necessary thing that you have to have. And in having it, it is also not sufficient. So I'll leave that with you. Only you can decide whether you want to take it or not. If you've decided that, no, I really do want this. I enjoy this. I had fun with it. I can't wait to learn more. It just didn't work out this time. Well, that's fine. you'll sit for another exam. But I'm going to really stress here to relax on the question bank stuff. The idea that you need 10,000, 20,000 questions, that you have to keep doing more and more. I'll prepare again, but this time I'm going to do even more questions. You already have plenty of questions with the content that you already have. And if you're using a provider, they layer on even more. But I don't know that it's necessary or needed. You have, I think, 1,500 unique questions in the CFAI Level 1 Q Bank on top of the 2,000 end of chapter questions that they've put in there as well. So I think there's 3,500 questions. If you look at the in-reading examples, what are called the blue box examples, and you count the number of questions across Level 1, you're getting about another 1,200 questions on top of that. So you're already slightly below 5,000 questions, plus they provide you with some mock exams. There's no shortage of questions. And if you want open-ended questions instead of these multiple choice questions, deeper questions which require you to learn a lot more, or you will learn a lot more, go to Reddit. There are literally thousands of candidates asking thousands of questions on a daily basis. Answer some of those. Those are open-ended. There, you're no longer just saying A, B, or C, but now you're tutoring somebody else. You'll never learn more than when you teach someone else. There is no shortage of resources. Maybe you're just not using them. But the idea of falling back on more question banks, they have their use, but they have limited use. You'll do a lot better explaining it to somebody else, because in explaining it to someone else, you'll uncover your weaknesses very, very quickly, because someone will step in below you and say, you're partially right, but you're wrong over here. And it's that give and take that then develops your understanding a lot more, because everyone has a little piece of that puzzle, and when you all get together, you form this complete puzzle where you go, oh, that was the piece I was missing. There we go. You're not going to get that piece by doing question after question after question. Questions have a purpose up to a point. Beyond that, they offer very little. So I'm going to try to push you away from this idea that I just need to do more and more and more questions. I don't think that's the best use of your time. Look, if you don't know something, every single question is hard. And to say, well, I just need to do more questions. No, hang on a second. If you don't know it, more questions aren't going to do anything. You're just going to get the same score, and you're going to keep frustrating yourself because you'll think you've sort of gotten it, but the next question twisted the question a little bit and you didn't get it. And the next question twisted it a little bit and you didn't get it because you don't understand it. So if you don't know it, if you don't understand it, even simple questions will appear hard to you. Slow down. Give yourself some time and put in the work. If there's a section you haven't been doing well on, go back to the first reading and slow down. Absorb it slowly, reflect on it, make sure you understand each step along the way. As soon as you feel you're off track a bit, going, oh, wait a minute, this doesn't quite fit, spend some time on that. Get it. Once that snaps into place, all those questions are easy. Once you get it, those questions are absolutely easy. Look, we all in grade 2 didn't know the multiplication table. If I said to somebody in grade 2, what's 7 times 9? It would give them pause. But we mastered it because of drills. Now we know it. We put in the time. 7 times 9, right? 63. You don't even have to think, well, that's easy. But not to somebody who didn't know it. It's the same with this. After you know it, it's easy. As far as a study strategy, listen, there's no one single method that works for everyone. Some people, do things one way versus another way. There's a whole spectrum of what works. So what will work for you? Well, what has worked for you? You're all university students or university graduates. Think about the courses you did very well in. Why did you do well in those courses, and what did you do? That's your study strategy, exactly what you did there. There is no difference between doing seven readings at level 1 quant versus doing the first part of a statistics undergrad course in university. The first part is about 7 chapters long anyways. The statistics course is twice as long and goes much deeper, and you've done that. This doesn't go as deep, and it's shorter. So whatever worked for you in university, whatever got you the best marks, whatever reason why, that's what you want to do here. That's your study strategy. Learning is the same no matter where you do it. Whether you do it within a classroom and then go home and follow the structure of the readings each week, or whether you do it self-study like CFAI is, it's the same thing. To ask what study strategy do you recommend? I recommend the study strategy that got you A's in university. Pick those classes and reflect on them and say, well, why did I get an A there? What were the deciding factors in these courses? And let me do that. Do that. That's your study strategy. For all our subscribers, remember now your November subscription is a 1 fee to pass, which means if you did not pass, you do not pay again. And you don't need to contact us and ask us to do anything. You do it yourself. Just on the side menu, on the left of your screen, at the very bottom or near the bottom, you'll see My Account. Click on My Account, and then in the middle of the screen, there'll be another menu. Second one from the bottom on that other menu will be 1 fee to pass. Click on that. It'll have all the instructions on how to reset your content for the next exam. And being that this was 2021, if you did not pass, you'll be choosing some exam in 2022, and it will upgrade you to the 2022 content. You never pay again. If you did not pass, you do not pay again. So try not to rush to the site and resubscribe. I think we have code that doesn't let you resubscribe. I'm not really sure, but remember, you have a 1 fee to pass if you did not make it. Let's say that you didn't pass and you just don't see the point. Look, the exam's 25%. That means, probabilistically speaking, it will take me 4 attempts to pass if it's a 25% chance of passing. If you think that way, what's the point? I don't really need it for what I do, and I'm just not going to do it anymore. Or you feel that, when am I ever going to use this stuff? You've gone through level 1 and you've seen some of the stuff, and you're thinking, when does this ever get used? I will say this, because I've played in both worlds, the academic world and the practitioner world, and I feel that I'm still, 1 foot in both worlds. I describe myself as a pracademic. That if I were looking for a collection of appropriate and relevant academic stuff to match the practitioner stuff, I wouldn't find a better collection than what you find at the 3 levels of CFAI. It's the most relevant academic stuff that applies into the market without it getting into these theories that maybe not, or they're so far out that it's really only a researcher that would find that interesting. So if you're wondering, well, when am I ever going to use this stuff? I've developed an options course, an applied options course, which is available on the site right now. And it's still every week I'm putting out, well, I shouldn't say every week, every 1 or 2 days there's a new video that's going up, and this will continue on for a while until it's done. But some of the things that we've already applied in the videos: Bayes' theorem, probability weighted expected values. Remember that from level 1 when you're looking at that saying, when am I going to use this? I'll show you when you're going to use that. Probability distributions, we use that a lot, especially with options. You have to determine what part of the probability distribution you want, or what part of the return distribution that you're making your bet on. Macro analysis, monetary policy. I don't know how you can be in markets without having a good understanding of monetary policy. The key macro variables, what they mean, especially now, inflation and employment, big guys on the street. Some kind of equity analysis. You need to have some opinion of the value of a company, how they create value, how that valuation is arrived at. Is it undervalued, overvalued? Do you have a directional bias on this? Because if you have some opinion about a stock, there is some option strategy that can get you that part of the return distribution. And of course, it's options. So, if we're talking about the derivative sections, all options application. Fixed income, interest rates. That is pretty much dictating the direction of the market these days. The big talk on the street is interest rates. Interest rates are going to go up over the year, so we want to be short duration. Well, that tells us that there are certain ETFs that track the fixed income space that we have options plays on. There is this part of the return distribution we don't think will happen. There's an options play on there. But if you don't understand the relationship between interest rates and value, you're not going to understand exactly how to play those ETFs. Black-Scholes-Merton, can't go through an options course without talking about Black-Scholes-Merton. You can't understand Black-Scholes-Merton until you understand the step from the discrete time series to continuous time series. The relationship between implied versus historical volatility. Some of the Greeks from the derivative level 2, you were introduced to the Greeks. Delta, theta, vega, these are the big ones that are being played. So if you can't see how some of this stuff is applied, if you're going through these readings, say this is also theoretical, the real world is different. No, it's not. It's exactly what this is, and this course shows you exactly how it applies. And I use the exact concepts right off the pages of these readings. So maybe you just need to get inspired. Maybe you just need to be exposed to it, and you might say, wait a minute now, this was everything that was there. Yeah, and that might draw you back into level 1 to do it again, saying, no, I am going to get through this. This is the real stuff. This is training for a career. So, maybe you just need that. If you have passed, you are moving on. Let's talk about level 2. There is no level 2 in May, so you're going to sign up for August. And there is a November, just it's not open right now. The deadline for May has been extended to February 9th from February 1st. And the early registration fee for August has been extended to February 10th. So you don't have to make your decision now. You have all the way to February 9th or 10th to decide which exam window you want. There is no level 2 in February of 2023. That got bumped to May, and level 3 now replaces level 2 in February. So February 2023 is level 1 and level 3. Level 2 isn't until May. So if you're thinking, I'm not going to do it this year, I'll do it in February of 2023, it's actually May of 2023. And the 2023 content for level 2 will not be out. My best guess is August is when that content will be out. So you've got August, which I think is a decent amount of time. It's 7 months. And you've got November, which is more than doable. You've got 10 months from this date to about mid-November to prepare. So I don't know that you need to go outside of 2022 for this. If you're interested, you don't want to pay the big fee, you can wait you can do it now. You can sign up for August and you can get the lower fee. If you do level 2 this year, if you do it in August, it sets you up for level 3 in February. If you do level 2 in November, it sets you up for level 3 the next August. There is no May 2023 level 3. So it's August to February, or it would be November all the way to the next August in 2023. And if you have passed and you said, well, you know what, I'm not going to take level 2 right now. I'm years away from getting the 3-year work requirement, and you can't get the charter till you get the work requirement. So why rush through the exams? And you need to, you just say, look, I'm just going to, coast for a year and then I'll get back to it. Well, come and take the options course. There's no exam. Everybody passes. And we are going to create certificates of completion on this one as well. So that you can then add that to your credential. It's not a credential, but you have completed a more pracademic course in options. It's not practitioner and it's not all academic. It's the mix of the two. So there is some rigor in the option strategies. It's not like do this, do that, but there is some defining quantitative perspective that we take. And yeah, there is some macro analysis and equity analysis involved, although we don't do any equity analysis. It's in the background. We assume it's done, but we don't just take a strategy and throw it on a stock. We assess what we think is our forecast for that underlying, and then we find the strategy that aligns with our forecast. And if there's anybody out there watching that is in the options course, the comment boxes are down below if you want to provide feedback to anybody as to what your opinion of the course is at this point in time. Feel free. We've never advertised, and this is something we would never do, is pay money to advertise, because then you have to raise your price to cover the cost of the advertising, which to me doesn't make a lot of sense. We've always relied on word of mouth. And if what we have isn't good, then it should not exist. And word of mouth should dictate that. So if you are taking the course and you think, no, this shouldn't exist, go ahead and say it. Then it's easy for me to look at all that, say nobody likes it, good, I won't waste my time on this anymore. But I think that as a consumer, my best information is another consumer's opinion, not what the website tells me. And that's the way we've always left our advertising, is if we're good, other people will talk about us. That's the only measure that matters. Anyways, let's wrap it here. Ciao.